Despite the short length, Edge certainly showed that he was capable of being champion. He drew high ratings, albeit for the ridiculous stuff, but still, he was front and center, and he was responsible for the spikes in ratings during January of 2006. From live celebrations to TLC matches, this title reign was wild. It lasted 1 month, yet compared to Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar's recent title reigns, it felt much more lively. Anyways, let's get into it. As for the chamber match, it wasn't bad, but in terms of the action in the ring, it wasn't memorable. Angle was on fire, but he got a sudden super kick by HBK and he was eliminated in about 4 minutes. Meanwhile, Masters and Carlito coexisted and they worked as a cohesive unit. They eliminated Kane and they destroyed Cena and HBK. They were wise sticking to the game plan and they even got rid of HBK to make it 2-on-1. They punished Cena for a bit before Carlito asked for Chris to wrap it up with a Master Lock. Masters locked them in and it seemed like there was going to be a new champion, but Carlito all of a sudden low-blowed Masters and rolled him up to eliminate him. But Cena was right there to roll up Carlito as well to retain his championship. Now let me explain this from Carlito's perspective. He saw Cena as someone who was basically fatigued and damaged goods, while Masters was somewhat fresh, so that's why he did that. And plus, Carlitos was a backstabber anyways. Mr. McMahon came out. He congratulated Cena on retaining the gold as the fans booed. McMahon then announced that Edge is cashing in his money in the bank privilege, and out he came. He handed the briefcase to Vince and it was on. Edge had been waiting so damn long for this opportunity. He went straight up to Cena and delivered several rights. He tried pinning him twice, but he kicked out. He continued to unload on the champ before signaling for the spear. Edge successfully hit the spear, but Cena kicked out at 2.9, and good God, I thought that was a 3. Like, just look at it. You'd think that was a 3 count if you were watching live. MacLeod hit the mat right when Cena kicked out. Edge couldn't believe this, so he went for another spear. This time, though, it got him the win. And Joey Styles' words are stuck in my head. My God, what has happened here tonight? Edge has shocked the world. Who the hell expected this? Seriously. Edge being the one who ended Cena's title reign. Like, he went through JBL, Christian, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, and all those guys in the chamber match. Yet it was Edge who ended the title reign. This is my favorite Money in the Bank cash-in, just to let you know. Even though Seth Rollins cashed in at WrestleMania, I still think this is the best one because it was unexpected at the time, and it was Edge, so yeah. Okay, fresh off the heels of New Year's Revolution and shocking the world, Edge was out to go where no champion ever went. First of all, he cashed in Money in the Bank, my personal favorite cash-in, on a very vulnerable John Cena. After years of being seen as just a mid-carder, Edge finally broke through. Many saw him as a mid-carder for life after his partnership with Christian ended. Not everyone though, many believed in him too. He showed flashes and I personally believe that he would have become a top star on SmackDown. They were certainly lacking in the department of top babyfaces during 2003, but the injury derailed his momentum. But now, he's champion and he was ready to show everyone what the rated R superstar was capable of. Edge said that he's worked his entire life to be called WWE champion and now no one can doubt him anymore because he's the champ. Edge then said that he wants to celebrate his title win his way by having... well, he and Lita are going to do it, basically. On the January 9th, 2006 episode of Raw, John Cena donning that SVR 2007 shirt came out. Now, if you watched Raw during this time period, it felt weird to see Cena without the title. Why was it weird? Well, he held the title for like 9 months. And his entire run on Raw to that point, he never came out without the title on his waist or on his shoulder. Also, the fans, depending on what side you were on, hated Cena. They turned on him because, well, he was becoming repetitive in their eyes. As for me, I was a little kid. I had this John Cena toy, so obviously it's clear whose side I'm on. Cena spoke about the fans and how they're vocal towards him. He quoted Allen Iverson stating that if there's 1 million people who love him, then there's 10 million that hate him. Cena, though, was down with those soldiers that were going to ride with him, and as for the 10 million people, he straight up told them to kiss his ass. Cena decided that this is the time to cash in that rematch clause. He took off his shirt and patiently, or impatiently, waited for Edge. When Edge came out, well, he wasn't there. It was his girl, Lita, aka the most hated woman in the entire company. Lita did accept Cena's challenge, but it wasn't for tonight. Edge was preparing for his celebration, and after Lita did some oral persuasion to Vince, Cena's title match was pushed back to the Royal Rumble. She said that Edge is not going to be fighting tonight, but he's going to do something else in that ring. She took a jab at Cena, stating that Edge is going to last longer than 2 minutes, because he lost in under 2 minutes the previous night. Lita also insulted the fans and she proclaimed that Edge is going to beat Cena at the Rumble. She also took a page out of the former champ's book, as you can see there. The former champ responded saying that many in the arena think he sucks, but everyone knows that Lita sucks. John Cena promised to beat Edge's ass and he wanted Lita to bank on it. Also, he called her a biatch. I swear, Lita, she had the thickest skin out of any woman I've seen. The amount of insults that were thrown at her in 1 year, nothing comes close to it. So later that night, Edge arrived to the arena in style. Jerry Lawler was the happiest man in the arena, and I just wonder, what were the kids in the arena thinking? Seriously, this has to be the most awkward thing ever for them. Anyways, John Cena was barred from ruining this thing as Vince was starting to go crazy. So in the ring, the bed's all prepared, and Edge shouts, "The champ is here," which drew some heat. He did it again to successfully gain even more boost. He was proud of the fact that the fans didn't see it coming, as he outsmarted them. Edge said that in this industry, you don't have to be the biggest, you don't have to be the strongest, but you've got to be the smartest. He then shifted his focus to the celebration. Okay, in an effort to not get this video kicked off the channel or blocked or anything like that, I can't mention any of this. I still can't believe this happened on Raw. Like, it's just so out there. Something like this didn't happen on Raw. There was a bunch of stuff that happened. Val Venus's PP was getting chopped or whatever the hell was happening. DX were telling girls to flash. But this was different. And then Ric Flair crashed the party. He called Edge a disgrace to the WWE title, and he said that it takes years of hard work to prove to the fans that you're championship quality. And not only that, Edge is dead in the bed. Also, Flair was ready to get dirty, to get jiggy. Like, damn, bro. Edge then managed to get rid of Ric Flair. He blasted him with a chair, and the blood was pouring. Edge then hit the concerto, and damn, did that look brutal. Cena though ran in there and kicked Edge's ass. The Rated R Superstar escaped, and Lita, well, she was stuck in bed. Cena wanted to know what's underneath the sheets, but then he decided to F you. This was a result of Edge not coming down and saving his girl, showing an act of cowardice. First off, this night was bad for him. Some people were saying that he came up short, and now his girl was knocked out. Overall, still one of the crazier Raw segments. Rick was wild. Cena wasn't really booed. At least that's what I remember. This really showed that Edge was someone who made viewers tune in. First of all, Edge's victory was viewed on WWE.com 25 million times. 25 million, whether it be one day or 1 week, is still a pretty good sign that Edge was going to be a good champion, I guess. Oh, and since everyone loves ratings currently right now, Edge's segment received a 5.2 rating, which was the highest to a Raw segment in nearly a year. Also, I bet fans were curious as to how the WWE was going to go about this one. I mean, you don't often hear about a celebration of this magnitude. They wanted to know if Edge was going to rise to the occasion, I guess. Sorry. But seriously, Edge really solidified himself as a must-see champion, although it's probably attributed to the damn segment itself. The following week, Edge came out to discuss the events of last week. He acknowledged the fans' mindset towards him being a cheap champion, and he personally believed that he won the title fair and square. He cashed in, and now he's the new champion. He also believed that he was entitled to do what he sees fit, and he mentioned how the celebration was the highest rated ending to a Raw episode in over 2 years. He bragged about receiving 25 million views on WWE.com, and seeing as he received that amount of views in such a short time, he believed that he's the most watched WWE champion of all time. Edge said that there's consequences to pay for those that don't like it, and he took a jab at Flair Country before mentioning his title match against Flair. That was a TLC match for the title. But for now, he wanted Lita to finish off what they started last week. Jerry Lawler once again loved this. Joey Styles didn't want to see any of it, and when Edge and Lita got down to business, the new World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle interrupted. Edge insulted Angle, saying that the fans were chanting, "You suck" at him, and Angle's rebuttal, well, the fans weren't chanting "You suck" at him, they were chanting it at Lita. Edge then insulted Angle for a bit. Angle then insulted Edge for a bit, and this led to a scuffle between the two. Vince then came out and prevented the situation from escalating further. Later that night, John Cena took part in the Master Lock Challenge. Why am I mentioning this? Well, wait up. So Cena comes out. He's all ready to break the hold, and at this point, the Master Lock was the most protected move in the entire WWE. Kids at school were inspired to lock this hold all over the world. And it was like the coolest move ever. Yeah, it was just a full Nelson, and I still think it's cool, to be honest. It's so damn hard to break out of that hold. Anyways, Cena struggled to escape. The fans chanted, "Cena, Cena." He was hell-bent on breaking the hold. He tried carrying the masterpiece. He tried pushing him away, but to no avail. Eventually, Cena was starting to pass out, but he still had a little energy to fight and break the hold. He almost broke it, but Edge, the champion, came out. He teased Cena for a bit with the title before blasting him right in the face with the gold. As a result of this, Cena was busted open. But that wasn't it. Later that night, Edge defended the WWE Championship in a TLC match against Ric Flair in Flair Country. I believe it was in Charleston, by the way. So now the Nature Boy had the opportunity to win the world title for the 17th time. David Flair's sister was there to witness her father attempt to capture the title for the second time. As for Edge, he showed no weakness. It seemed like there was no doubt in his mind that he was winning. Throughout the match, Edge was hell-bent on not only retaining the title, but ending the 56-year-old Ric Flair's career. The match itself, enjoyable. Old man Flair took a damn suplex on the outside. He did fight back, showing that maybe, just maybe, it was his night, but Edge was always there to cancel the attack. And funnily enough, and I don't recall much of this, Ric Flair bled in a damn TLC match. Like, out of all the TLC matches that happened during this era of WWE, well, from 2000 all the way to 2008, there wasn't that much blood. At one point, Edge went up to the top of the ladder and he jumped off onto Ric Flair, and good God, like Flair, he was willing to take these ridiculous amount of bumps so late in his career. This one match, compared to the entirety of his WWE run, I don't think he took as much punishment as he did during one match, like this match. Maybe there is, but yes, this one, he took a lot of punishment. He was hit by ladders, tables, chairs, Lita, Edge, everything. Flair, though, recovered and he was out to hurt the Rated R Superstar's knee. He once again failed to hit an aerial move and it bit him. He continued to receive a ridiculous amount of punishment, but then he tipped over Edge and he sent him through a table. So now he's got that chance. All he had to do was climb. He didn't have to make himself famous like others. He was already famous, and this time around, it was his chance to win that title for the 17th time. He reached the top, but then Lita got involved. She received a figure 4, Edge was still down, and once again Flair just had to climb the rungs and retrieve that title. But Edge finally climbed up there, he delivered a flurry of punches, and the final blow sent Ric Flair down to the mat, and that's all she wrote. Overall, this match, fun. Flair wasn't really having some memorable matches during this run, but this one, I'd say it was one of his best during his run from 2002 to 2008. Edge, after the match, speared Flair and grabbed the chairs, and just as he was going to hit the concerto, Cena made the save. He pounced on Edge, and you'd think Edge stole Cena's wife at this point. He did steal Cena's title, so there's that. Edge, though, ran away, he posed with the title, and Cena had a look of fury on his stitched up face. Overall, it was fun. The amount of stuff they had in this match, it makes it a memorable bout, in my opinion, and it's one of the best Raw matches of the 2000s. Now, a perspective on how Edge was doing as a champion from a ratings point of view, so far so good. This installment of Raw drew a 4.3 rating, same as the previous week. I couldn't find anything on the segment of the match itself, but by the looks of it, Edge was fresh. He's a fresh champion. Everyone, they were interested in tuning in and watching him be the man. On the final Raw before the Royal Rumble, Edge once again came out to brag. He said that he's proven all the doubters wrong. He believed that he equals ratings, and he said that he deserves to be champion. He also claimed not to be a transitional champion like the Iron Sheik and Mick Foley. He said that he wasn't going to lose the title 16 times like Ric Flair, but hey, he's pretty close right now. All he's got to do is lose it 5 times. And he wasn't going to be a walking joke like Ric Flair. We Want Flair chants intensified as Edge mentioned Flair's inability to walk due to the TLC match. He then announced that Flair is not here tonight. Raw was in Charlotte, by the way. He then shifted his focus to John Cena. He claimed that after Cena loses, his career was going straight to the toilets, and all the fans are going to hitch their bandwagons elsewhere. And then Lita and himself, well, they're going to celebrate the way they do. John Cena, though, interrupted, and he congratulated Edge for his Rated R movie trailer. And a little context, Edge during this time period, he had these Rated R trailers. Like, he did one for John Cena and Mick Foley, and it just made him look like $1 billion while the other guy was trash, basically. John Cena, though, claimed to have seen the Rated R movie himself. He said that he watched a bootlegged version of the film, and he was going to review it right now. He said that it features a classic story. Boy meets, and these are his words, hoe. He said that the boy wins Money in the Bank and the title, and naturally he wants to make his hoe happy. So he takes her on vacation to Lake Tahoe. She needs food, he gets her taters from Idaho. The boy traces her heritage all the way back and finds out she's actually Navajo. And at this point, the boy and the hoe have it all. He's on top of them, the story goes to another direction. Cena explains this once again. So the boy goes to Miami, the Royal Rumble, and he proceeds to get his ass kicked. Edge wanted to stop him there, but Cena continued to spoil the film. The boy loses the title, and he even loses his hoe, and in a shocking turn of events, she falls in love with Hacksaw Jim Duggan. You get it? I mean, hoe. And the boy in one day goes from Rated R to Rated G. G standing for God, G standing for gold, and G for gonorrhea, which the hoe left him. Oh my God. Once again, they were absolutely relentless with Lita. She just took it all in. She didn't cry or anything like that. Although at some points, I did feel like she did want to burst out. Or maybe I'm seeing things. Lita then said that she doesn't know this hoe that Cena's talking about. And if Cena has trouble finding a partner, he should just go and play with himself. Cena's response, once again, no mercy. He said that it was good to see something of substance coming out of Lita's mouth rather than in. Edge had enough and Cena became serious. He said that ain't no Money in the Bank, movie trailers, celebrations is going to change the fact that although right now he's standing next to a biatch at the Royal Rumble, Cena's gonna make him his. See, once again, this promo was pretty entertaining, to be honest. Lita, like, what can I say? Edge, once again, outstanding. The facial expressions he does, they just get me, they annoy me, and all that. Now, later that night, both men were set to face each other in a tag team match. Edge, throughout the night, searched for a tag team partner, and the way he tried convincing them to accept, well, he used Lita. She was a bit reluctant initially, but he managed to convince her to do this stuff. Basically, Edge is pimping his own girl. Like, what the hell? He's literally forcing her to be a promiscuous girl just to convince a guy to team up with him later that night. By the way, this didn't even work out because the Big Show, basically, he took it all in and he refused. He flat out refused to team up with Edge. Later on, Edge asked the Game Triple H to be his partner. He considered it, but that never happened. Instead, it was the Masterpiece. As for John Cena's partner, it was Ric Flair. With that said, it was Cena and Flair who emerged victorious. Edge watched on from a distance, and heading into the event, it was John Cena who had all the momentum. As for their match at the Rumble, well, not bad. It wasn't as great as their future bouts, but it was good enough. There wasn't the great exchanges these two had in their future bouts, but hey, at least Cena came out in a spaceship of sorts. I mean, there was no way in hell he was losing that title after coming out on this damn platform. Also, I could have sworn this was planned for WrestleMania 22. One thing to know is that the commentary team, they believe that Edge, he was going to be a transitional champion. Now, if you know what the term transitional champion is, it's not someone that holds the title once and loses it. I'll only give you the best example. Bob Backlund, Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. Who's the transitional champion? Iron Sheik, because he passes it on from Backlund to Hogan. That's a transitional champion. They should have just called him a one-hit wonder. During the match, the Rated R Superstar was mostly in control. But then Cena made the comeback, shoulder tackle, clotheslines, slam, 5-knuckle shuffle. Cena went for the cover. Lita got involved. Edge bumps into her. He runs into the FU, and he taps out to the STFU. That's it. Honestly, looking back, should have been more dramatic. That's what I'm trying to say. All Cena had to do was hit his comeback and win. And I can see why many were irritated, because Edge was great in the ratings department, but WWE won the title on Cena. I mean, he was a draw in the first 3 weeks, in his only 3 weeks as champion. Yeah, he did pretty good. They won the title on Cena, though. But I wouldn't change it, to be honest, because WrestleMania 22 was my favorite WrestleMania of all time due to Edge and Foley and Cena and Triple H, so there's that. But yes, Edge's title reign, by the looks of it, at least to me, they were experimenting on if Edge was a draw, if he was a good champion. I guess it worked because 4 months later, he was champion, and by the end of 2011, he was an 11-time champion. But that stuff up to this point was still unwritten. 3 weeks, yet so much happened. WWE, I don't know why they gave it to Cena. I think they were hell-bent on having that WrestleMania match, but yeah. Now that Cena's reclaimed his gold, Edge immediately came knocking on his door for a rematch. The Rated R Superstar status quo took a bit of a hit at this point, as many believed that he was just a transitional champion. He refused to be called that, and he seemed like a raging lunatic, as you could see here. As for how the match went, well, first of all, it ended with the most random finish, but it fits Edge's character if you think about it. During the match, the Rated R Superstar tried cheating to get the victory, and once Cena had momentum on his side, Lita realized something. She realized that if Edge wins by DQ, then he gets a second rematch by default. So she tried handing him the title, but once Cena hoisted Edge on his shoulders, she made a judgment call and blasted her boyfriend with the title, resulting in a disqualification victory for him. It was a confusing ending to the commentary team, but if you know Edge and Lita's mindset, it made sense. The following week, Mr. McMahon made the rematch, but it will feature a special referee, and that special referee will be of Cena or Edge's choosing. Edge once again tried pimping out his girlfriend for the 100th time in order to get a slight advantage in the title match. See, this is what gets me about Edge. The fact that he'd sell out his girl in order to get a small advantage for his title match. It wasn't even the fact that he's going to win the title outright if he gives his girl out, if he pimps her out. It's just to get that one, even if it was 0.1%, he would do it. Vince admired Edge for showing he would do anything to get an advantage, so he booked Edge and Lita against John Cena and Maria. Meanwhile, Maria was nervous about that match. She already got beaten up by Lita earlier on, and she didn't want to go through it again. So Cena decided, you know what, let's silence her, and he kissed her. Later that night, the mixed tag match went on as planned. Lita accidentally went for a hurricanrana during the match on her boy. She then realized Cena's the legal person, and so she tried getting out of the sticky situation by flashing, but before she knew it, she was on the receiving end of a spear. Maria tagged herself in, and they won the match. Immediately afterwards, Cena announced a special guest referee. It was the GOAT special referee, Mick Foley. Edge was about to blow up. Mick came out casually, and it seemed like the cards were in John Cena's favor. As for how that match went, Mick Foley was an impartial official, but Edge didn't like it. Why? Well, when Foley was down, Lita interfered. She once again tried playing it casual, and Edge had the match won after blasting Cena with the title. Foley struggled to enter the ring because he was a bit dizzy, but once he did, Cena kicked out at 2. Edge then made the mistake of going for a crossbody as Cena caught him and connected with the FU to retain the title. So, he blamed Foley for the loss, and due to this, he speared him, and that's a story for another day. The next night on Raw, John Cena came out to address the events of WrestleMania 22. Most of the fans booed while he had this little grin on his face. He then shouted out that the champ is still here, taking a slight jab at the haters. He was speaking about how capturing this and defending it night in and night out means you rise to the occasion. Then Triple H interrupted. "You tapped out" chants intensified, and he put his hand out there for a handshake before leaving Cena hanging there. The game admitted his wrongdoing, stating that he tapped out because he underestimated the champ, but he promised that it will never happen again, and he straight up asked for another title shot. All of a sudden, Edge interrupted. He straight up told Hunter that he should hop to the back of the line and someone else should take his spot. Someone that actually won at WrestleMania, He also said that he's undefeated at WrestleMania, to which Triple H responded asking, well, how many of those matches were main events? He then suggested Edge hang out with the other current jerkers while the main event guys handle their business. Edge's response, he said that he's a main eventer and he doesn't need to dress like Conan the Barbarian. He also brought up the victory against John Cena, to which Triple H responded stating that he took a nap and missed the entire thing. Edge then made fun of the game tapping out. Triple H suggested knocking down his teeth tonight, and Cena meanwhile tried booking a one-on-one number one contenders match between those two. The Rated R Superstar refused to compete, citing his injuries, but he did want to team up with Triple H though to face Cena's bling bling ass. The game liked this idea while the champ, he teased walking out on the challengers before accepting the match. Due to the match later that night, it resulted in 2 other matches featuring 3 of those guys. Cena was the first man with a disadvantage as he lost to Triple H and Edge on this night. After the first handicap match, it was confirmed that Cena will defend the title at Backlash against both Edge and Triple H. The second handicap match saw Edge face both Cena and Triple H, but this time around, the champ returned the favor to Triple H before forcing Edge to tap out to the SCFU. The final match saw Edge and Cena team up, and this time around, it was Edge who beat Triple H clean in the middle of the ring, and I believe this was the first time Edge ever pinned the game. So at this point, every single one of them had a victory under their belts. But before they clashed at Backlash, they were forced to face the Spear Squad. Triple H and Cena worked in unity, but then it erupted later on. Edge and Lita watched on with a smile on their faces as Raw went off the air. Now, the match at Backlash sublime. It was as violent as expected, and I already covered the entire match in this video. But long story short, it was dramatic, bloody, entertaining. There was always some kind of action, and if you've never watched it, I certainly believe you enjoy it. Hell, if you already watched it a while ago, you'll still like it. Anyways, the game brought in a sledgehammer. He runs into a spear, and it's Edge who grabs it. Cena hoists him on his shoulders, but Triple H is there with a low blow. He attempts the pedigree, but it's not to be, and he ends up losing. Right then, Triple H, like a sore loser, destroys everyone in sight before doing the DX crotch chop. Following this, Cena didn't really have that much competition. On the May 22nd, 2006 episode of Raw, John Cena just finished dealing with Chris Masters when Rob Van Dam interrupted. And Van Dam then informed the champ that he's got a title shot. It was known that RVD's got a briefcase and all that stuff, but what was unknown was when he cashes in, the date. He said that if he was to cash in here, then he'd probably be screwed over by the system. Instead, he's going to cash in at the one place where he's very comfortable. A place where the conditions work extremely well in his favor. June 11th at One Night Stand. Cena was shook, and RVD, he was right. You know why? Well, throughout the years, RVD, whenever he received a title shot, he never outright lost clean, I believe. One time, Ric Flair screwed him over. And the fact that he was a ECW star, well, that wasn't going to sit well with the company, and they think of screwing him over basically in storyline, I guess. As for the match at ECW One Night Stand, for me, my favorite John Cena match up to this point. Not necessarily because of the action, that goes to Judgment Day 2005, but the entire atmosphere, the feeling. RVD was loved and adored by the ECW fans. There was this thing that was funny as hell to me as a kid, I don't know why, and the fact that John Cena was practically the Antichrist. Right when they heard the music, they were like, this little bastard, he just didn't fit the ECW image, and initially, he ignored the hate. It made for a legendary image, as you can see here. That side in itself is one of the best we ever seen, because if RVD lost, who knows, maybe they would have rioted. And Cena, they just gave him a hard time every chance they could get. He throws his t-shirt, it's back in there. He just wanted the shirt away, and he was patiently waiting for someone to take it, and then this guy. I mean, seriously, they should have brought this guy in the ring. He really showed the most hate for Cena, and RVD relished all of this. They threw toilet paper, FU, Cena chants intensified. And throughout the match, Cena tried his damnedest to piss off the ECW faithful. He used that sign to precisely aim at RVD, and slowly he worked as the outright heel. RVD himself sacrificed his body in order to get the W, but this guy, he just couldn't be stopped. Cena continued to stick it to the fans, hitting a 5-knuckle shuffle. He posed, and nothing that he could do that night could elicit a positive reaction, nothing. Near the end, Cena began to silence the rabid crowd, and it seemed like he had it wrapped up. He FU'd RVD right out of the ring when an unknown man speared him through the table. It was then revealed to be Edge. The fans chanted, "Thank you, Edge," and this was the same man that was calling them some not so nice things. He was calling them virgins, he's calling them internet nerds and a bunch of stuff, but for this one, they're like, thank you, Edge. RVD was unaware of what went on, and he went up top, boom, 5-star frog splash. The ref didn't wake up, so Paul Heyman took advantage of the ECW rule and counted the pinfall himself. 1, 2, 3. Finally, honestly, this is a perfect match. It's not the action that makes it special. It's the rabid crowd wanting Cena's head. They threw toilet paper at him, his own shirt, and the only thing that was missing was a pig's head. The situation in itself also makes it special. RVD never won the title, but this night, the night full of wild moments, is when RVD is finally crowned WWE Champion. That's what makes it the perfect match in my eyes. It seemed like Christmas for the ECW brand, and it may have been bittersweet for little me at the time to see all this because Cena was my favorite, but right now I can acknowledge this as one of the best damn moments of that era. On the first episode of the newly relaunched ECW, RVD was introduced to the ring by Paul Heyman, who held a hidden title belt in his hands. It was clear that it was the ECW title. Edge then interrupted and he came out with Lita. Tess said that Edge is his new hero because of the events that occurred 2 nights earlier. The Rated R Superstar told the new champ that he respects him. He then mentioned that they both won the briefcase and the title, and then he said that it's an honor to face Van Dam and tear the house down at Vengeance. He then shook his hand. It was all good. Edge proceeded to spear RVD, showing his true colors. The Rated R Superstar left through the crowd and he bumped into John Cena, who then kicked his ass. Van Dam and Cena took turns in kicking his ass, and Edge then pushed RVD into Cena and he low-blowed him before running off. Cena then dropped Heyman. This was the first segment of ECW and it was already a miss. Now the match at Vengeance between Edge and RVD was sublime. It's pretty underrated in my opinion. It made Van Dam look very good as WWE Champion, and some cool spots like the sunset flip on the outside, a powerbomb on the barricade, and the ending saw Edge get a Van Daminator but with the WWE title instead of a chair. This busted Edge open and he would gain the advantage, but he'd miss the spear and bump into a chair that Lita was holding. Van Dam hit the 5-star frog splash on the Rated R Superstar for the victory. Van Dam would meet John Cena backstage later on that night, and it was confirmed that the rematch was set for the following night. That match was decent. I watched it a long time ago and I don't even remember much. It ended with Edge interfering and laying out both men. On the July 3rd, 2006 episode of Raw, Edge, RVD, and John Cena were set to face off in a triple threat tag team match. I assume had this went down, it would have been RVD and Sabu, Edge and Foley, and Cena Flair. Not sure though. The Radar Superstar kicked off the show proclaiming the summer to be his, and he couldn't wait for Tuesday. Why? Because he was going to win his title back and defend it at Saturday night's main event. He compared Van Dam to the Philadelphia Phillies, saying he's bland, overrated, and lacks any heart. John Cena, on the other hand, he's like the Eagles. Similar to them at the time, he's good, he's not good enough to win the title. Damn. Edge even compared himself to Terrell Owens, saying he just wants to get the hell out of there. John Cena refused to let Edge continue the promo and brought the fight. Van Dam followed up and pulled the biggest babyface move you'll ever see. He did the stupidest thing in kayfabe, basically. He pushed the title match forward to tonight in Philadelphia. This was after Edge whined about not being included in the match. He felt that the title match would be null and void, and so RVD knew he was going to interfere. So Saturday night's main event was gone. It was on Raw. Van Dam was a fighting champion, although we all know why this match was booked. The topic of the match itself, it was good. Not Backlash 2006 main event or anything like that. But when you're looking at it from that time, it's cool to see a match on TV, especially a title match of this magnitude. Similar to the previous week, it felt like John Cena's night. He FU'd everybody, but from out of nowhere, Edge blasted him in the face with the title before covering Van Dam to become the new WWE Champion. JR was pissed as hell, as were some of the fans, and this title win was well deserved. Edge was probably the best performer throughout the first half of the year. He was always delivering inside and outside the ring, and after this, of course, Rob Van Dam was suspended for the marijuana bust. I don't think his title run would have continued past Saturday night's main event, although that may be a different story with the ECW title. But yes, Edge was now a second-time champion. His hard work had been rewarded. Instead of ragging to everybody and their mother about the title victory, Edge preferred to sit down on commentary and do just that the following week. This was also to scout his opponent for Saturday, John Cena. RVD was not going to get his rematch because he was kayfabe suspended by Paul Heyman. He was hyping up the match, talking about how there will be a celebration for the title, and in the ring, Shelton proved to be a tough challenge for Cena. But as expected, he tapped out in the end. Edge was raging, seething over this, but he didn't have enough time to leave as Cena just dived into him. Unfortunately for him, the attack didn't end so well and he took a spear. And the new champion was disgusted by the city and decided, I'm out of here, I'm going to a hotel. You'd obviously think this was the end of the night for these two, but it wasn't even close. Also, what the hell is this tag team? Like, I just don't understand this at all. This is not the video for that. Meanwhile, Edge ended up having one too many drinks. But from out of nowhere, John Cena intruded on him and gave him a beating in his own damn hotel. He tossed him through glass, fed him some food, and even whacked him in the face with the title. And it's definitely one of the more iconic outside of the arena moments. These don't happen very often nowadays. In the 2000s, it used to happen once in a while, and I always thought it's cool. It gives off more of an unpredictable anything could happen feel, and it's a damn shame that this doesn't happen more often. With regards to Saturday night's main event, this was the first time in 14 years that the WWE title was defended on the show. That's of course due to a 14-year absence, we don't like to talk about that. It's a title match, so you know what's up. After the commercial break, the match was pretty damn competitive. There was this botched superplex that did somewhat work in the champion's favor, and watching it, the match was extremely short. It felt like they skipped 2/3 of the match. Cena managed to hit the FU, but Lita pulled the referee right out of the ring, and John knew what was up, and Lita tried talking herself out of the situation. Cena locked Edge in the STFU, and on the outside, boom, Lita delivers a slap. This was at a very convenient time. Well, for Edge, it was very inconvenient for John Cena because the champion tapped out. Cena thought he won it, but then the disappointment set in. Hey, that's like watching my team every week. To add insult to injury, Edge speared him. It seemed like the night was over, but Cena dived over the top rope, dropped Edge, and to top it all off, FU'd him off the steps and through the announce table to end the night on top, an enraged man. Very short main event, shorter than Ryback's push in 2012. It was just a way of prolonging the story. For some reason, I expected this one to be a bit longer than it was, but I guess I was wrong. They interacted once more the following week in a tag match, but not much happened, although Edge did blast Cena with a chair. Cena managed to turn it around and score the W, and shortly afterwards it was confirmed that the Rated R Superstar was defending the gold against Mr. Hustle, Loyalty and Respect at SummerSlam in Boston. The two men didn't do much around here. Edge was promising that this wouldn't happen to him, but it wasn't until August rolled around that the build of SummerSlam kicked in. When I say it was wild, I mean it. You see, Edge was in the business of showing everybody why he was the biggest douche in the WWE. First of all, he angrily interrupted a woman's title match. The way he walked out to the ring, you know, it looked like it was something big. It turns out Edge didn't appreciate taking a backseat to everybody else. He also whined on and on and on about how it's unfair that he could possibly lose his title to John Cena on a DQ. And to make matters worse, it's in Boston. And you're wondering, how does this relate to Trish Stratus? You see, he wasn't really being promoted much. Trish just so happened to be on the cover for that month's magazine. Leah preferred to take out the quote, piece of trash. Hell, Edge, being in I don't give a F mode, wanted to spear her, but Carlito made the save and took the spear instead. John Cena, on the other hand, was out here roasting Edge and Lita like his life depended on it, and to him, you have to earn respect. As for the champion, he had to team up with his girl to face Carlito and Trish Stratus. Once again, Edge managed to outdo himself with a spear on Trish, although he didn't really seem too happy about it, and this led to his victory. Lita pinned her. On the final Raw before SummerSlam, Edge came on a totally opposite mood compared to the previous week. It had become apparent that Edge did something to John Cena's dad, and after learning of the SummerSlam match, the Rated R Superstar said that he wanted to calm down. He wanted to chill, and he did just that by visiting John Cena's city, in particular his house. He did this funny narration of what he did at the house. The best part for me was when he tossed the wrestling boot, saying, since John can't wrestle, I wasn't sure. Then there's Mr. Cena. He bragged to him about SummerSlam before pausing the video. Now what actually went down didn't require any narration. He said that he was going to beat his son within an inch of his life, and the slap that he gave him. Actually, in 2006, he was flat out a criminal. I don't give a damn what anyone says. He wasn't that evil final boss, but he was something else. As he said, one Cena goes down today, another goes down at SummerSlam. Edge outright admitted that he was the villain. He wore the black hat, and he said that there wasn't going to be any kind of storybook ending. No, because it was going to end with him retaining the title, making it a happy ending for himself. First, sir, and this was one of the more memorable moments from 2006. You don't see a main event heel visiting his challenger's father's house and slapping the living hell out of him, no. You didn't even see this stuff in the Attitude Era off the top of my mind at the moment. Fast forward to the end of the night. John Cena sprints down to the ring, angry as if Edge slapped his dad. Well, yeah, he actually did that. And the intensity was off the charts. The crowd was louder than they were the entire night. Edge was red. It was a chaotic turn of events. So that's the build. Very intense. Edge showed that there's no low that he'd stoop in order to gain an advantage. And he felt that as champion, he had been wronged. From the booking of the matches to the promotion of the shows. Oh, and he just hated John Cena. Like, I remember I couldn't watch Raw for a while at the time, but I always knew what was up with him, and the hatred of him was unparalleled compared to anyone else. Maybe I hated Chris Jericho because I tossed a toy of his away after he turned on John Cena and went after his title. Come to think about it, maybe I hated him a little too much too, but yes, Edge was the ultimate heel magnet at the time, especially if you were a kid. The grinning face he made, that smile, man, I'm starting to get angry right now. As Edge said a while back, he wanted to be the Roddy Piper to John Cena's Hulk Hogan. He wanted to be the true villain, the foil to John Cena. That's basically the feud in a nutshell. Alright, let's talk about the match. Cena aggressively pressed Edge early on. His approach though had its faults, such as here where he went too fast. This led to Edge taking somewhat of an advantage. The challenger was constantly making mistakes, which prevented him from making a proper comeback. The commentary speculated maybe, just maybe, Edge was looking for a count-out victory, and it seemed that way, honestly. His attack was always thwarted, and some of the fans desperately tried rallying John Cena on, and it had seemed to work. He started gaining momentum when all of a sudden Lita made her presence felt. This is when the match really kicked up a notch. They went back and forth, non-stop. Nothing was working for Edge here, and the moment he actually did something, he couldn't capitalize on it. Once they recovered, Edge found himself in the STFU, and slowly the title was being pried away, and it didn't help that Lita was about to use a weapon. Edge did reach the rope, and this is when Lita placed the brass knucks on his hand. The champion just wanted to knock John out, but he almost found himself in the FU hell. Cena was going to go for the double. The crowd was absolutely rabid here, and if a new champion was crowned, they would have exploded. But Edge had other plans. He managed to blast Cena on the back of the head with the knucks, and the sound the knucks made with Cena's neck, wow. He goes to the cover, and JR basically describes what Little Me felt every time Edge won or retained the title from the years of 2006 to 2009. Bastard got away with it once again. Regarding the match itself, it was good. I wouldn't say great or anything like that, but it was clear that their best work had yet to come. That's literally what I could say about this match. You know, if you were going to watch a John Cena and Edge match, like if you had to choose one match, I highly doubt you're going to choose this one. Maybe it is their best singles match outright. I might even admit that, but in terms of top 5 Edge vs. Cena matches, I think it falls a bit short. The next night on Raw, Edge decided it's time for a change. He noticeably came out without the title belt, and it was also a night that Edge waited for his entire life. Why? Because he wanted to glow and tell everybody that they're wrong. He was in a situation where the odds were stacked against him, yet emerged victorious. So basically, he's like John Cena on paper, you know, overcoming the odds. The Rated R Superstar finally addressed the lack of a title, and this was when Lita popped up. In light of erasing John Cena from his life, Edge wanted to remove the final remnant of him by burying the title at sea, and she did just that by tossing the title into the dark body of water. As a result of this, according to Edge, the era of Cena was gone, and it was now the era of Rated R. And from the heavens emerged a Rated R title. I'll get into that in a moment. The champion was looking forward and asked anybody to step up to the challenge, and this is when Jeff Hardy made his return. He was so damn outraged over this and refused to allow Jeff to make his comeback at his expense. His eyes were about to pop out of his face in anger, and he called Matt a no-talent loser, just like Jeff. As a result of this earned him a beating. The Rated R Superstar whined and whined about this to the coach and got himself a match against the charismatic Enigma. During that match, the Doctor of Thugonomics opted to pay a visit to the champion. Cena was enraged and delivered a beatdown straight to the back, and Edge managed to make a run for it, but after the commercial break, Cena's out there trying to toss him into trees, trying to choke him out, and from out of nowhere, he grabbed Edge and said, quote, "Time to swim, kid," and psh, he's in the sea. As a result of this, Edge got sick and was ill for a few days. One hell of a moment. Again, this feud just featured so many memorable moments within like a 2-month time span. There was Edge spearing John Cena through that table. There was Edge stealing the title from him. The hotel beatdown. Mr. Cena getting slapped. And this is why it was the summer of Cena and Edge. On the topic of the Rated R Championship, Edge hoped they went another way. I quote. When they approached me and said, "We're going to do a Rated R Championship belt," I was like, "Right, let me get to work," Edge recalled. I got home and drew up this beautiful championship belt. This thing was badass. When I got back, they were like, "Well, no, we're just going to put your logo in it." Like, that's it. Edge wouldn't want a spinner belt. That, to me, is the one championship that needs to look like a championship and not somebody's hubcaps. Now, to be honest, I didn't really like his design of the title. Sort of gives off a classic IC title vibe. That's exactly what it looked like. It's a good design on its own, but for the title, I think it's better how they did it in real life. It made sense to me that in storyline, Edge wanted to take what was the John Cena title and turn it into his own, right? That's how I feel about it. The incensed champion wanted Shane McMahon to do something about this, and apparently to him, champions shouldn't be thrown into polluted bodies of water. Edge was so frustrated with John Cena that he wanted him gone. Upon hearing this, he came out. John Cena wasn't really here to fight, however, he still did find time to roast Edge. Oh, and Lita saying she gives everyone happy endings. Hell, Cena even told Shane to pull out a 10 and toss it at her. Now, Cena did have the solution to Edge's woes, and he pulled out a 3-year contract offer from SmackDown. The challenge was very enticing to Edge, and Shane verified the claim. Edge ended up accepting under 2 conditions. 1, match setting. And Edge certainly guaranteed that it wouldn't happen in this dump. The dump that he was referring to was Atlantic City. And number 2, he could choose the match type. John accepted, tried walking out, but Shane didn't appreciate the disrespect. He also came to the defense of Edge and mentioned the whole Long Island Sound incident. He booked him in a match with a returning Chris Masters following this. Edge did appear later on in order to attack Cena and give him a little preview of what he had in store, and the letters were very simple for the match. It was TLC. Edge announced the match for Unforgiven in Toronto, Canada, and it was going to be a match that Cena never had, and he, Edge, never lost. Tables, ladders, and chairs. So it was very similar to the SummerSlam match in the sense that one of these men was going to have a huge advantage. Now, at the time, there was real talk of Cena potentially moving to SmackDown, and looking back, this does make sense. It was going to be his first movie. They had to promote the action scenes. And speaking of the Marine, I gotta show my video for those of you that have never seen it. It's very different to my videos on the main channel. Kicking off Raw in Atlanta, Edge began the John Cena Gets Out of My Life countdown. And the man was very festive. He was very excited to send John Cena to the CW. He also said that CW also stood for Can't Win, so it made sense that Cena was there. He randomly said that the TLC match doesn't suit John because he can't just throw his hands out like a gorilla. Simply put, Cena's out of his element, and before he knows it, Michael Cole will resume his crush on him. From out of nowhere though, John Cena ran in and caught the flying Rated R champion before FUing him through a table, showing that maybe, just maybe, he will fit in TLC. It was so damn intense, and that wasn't even the end of the night for these two, as they faced off in a 6-person tag team match. We got to see a Rated RKO preview, and the Unforgiven opponents did kind of interact, but what stood out from this match was Randy Orton trying to outdo Edge by RKOing Trish Stratus. Ahead of Unforgiven, the two had one final meeting. Before that tag team match could go down, Edge announced that this was Cena's final Raw, and CC was going back to SmackDown. It was befitting that he started rapping again. Edge sounded like he watched a single video on rap, not from a correct source, I should note. And the best line for me was when Edge said that Cena's gonna choke worse than the Yankees in 2004. He also said that Cena going to SmackDown and King Booker is like going from Lita to a New York City hooker. This gave off an ENC vibe for me. It just sounded like something he would have done in his earlier career. All that was missing here was Christian. Unlike the previous week, Cena rebounded and gained some momentum ahead of Sunday. Now, I already talked about the match here in great detail, so let's do a loose one here, a very loose one. Sounds stupid to say, but it's basically the match of my early childhood. Word for word, I have that promo memorized, and they really were the Hogan and Piper of the mid-2000s. Each guy played their role well. Edge here finally got that welcoming reception that he so desperately sought. All it took was him becoming the most vile, cowardly heel there is. The match itself, it was basically the climax, the very end of the heated rivalry. I know they faced off weeks later in a cage match, but this was way more intense than that match. These men were whacking each other with chairs, slapping the hell out of each other, and best of all, dropping each other through tables. I can't recommend this match enough if you've never watched it, and for me, there may have been some outstanding matches in 2006, but this was and is the best match of the year for me. The match checks off all the boxes. Violence, check. Drama, check. Best of all was the conclusion. These two were at each other's throats, all in the name of the WWE Championship, but ultimately though, Edge suffered and took an FU through 2 tables off a 16-foot ladder. Cena just showed more aggression compared to Edge. He didn't want to do it, but it was a must if he wanted to win back his title, and that's basically the ending of the match. Edge drove him to the point where he wanted to FU him through a table. What a match that was. Definitely match of the night, maybe even match of the year. And with that, Edge's title reign was over. It lasted 76 days, and what a 76 days those were. He didn't wrestle a lot, but his segments certainly stood out. Raw ratings with Cena and Edge dominating the top of the program were always well, and of course this had to do with DX returning as well, but Edge's presence is certainly felt. I mean, he was technically the most watched champion in 5 years. He was charismatic, hilarious at times, and of course was a great character and performer. The feud itself was a huge highlight of this era of WWE, and it was unique in the sense that we got to see these two interact in different types of places. We're not the only people that speak well on the feud, as Edge himself had some positive words on it. Sometimes you just stumble upon something that works. If you would have asked me 10 months ago if I thought an Edge/John Cena feud would still be going 10 months later, I probably would have said no, and I bet John would have said the same. But for some reason it works. Wrestling-wise, character-wise, it just works. We're two polar opposites. We are two guys who look, act, from music to style, we're completely opposite. So when we get together, it makes for a cool dynamic. I've been very happy with it, especially in today's wrestling climate where things can happen quickly. I've been going at this non-stop for almost 10 months, and to be able to say that these days, we must be doing something right. I agree with that. I mean, this feud lasted on and on for about 10 months, and no one was like, oh, this feud sucked, oh, it's bad, oh, it's No, it was very entertaining throughout the entire thing. The next night on Raw in Montreal, Cena spoke about his title victory. As expected, the champ received a mixed response, mostly negative from the Montreal faithful. Jerry Lawler cited Canada as Bizarro Land due to the reception Cena received, and I don't think it's Bizarro Land, they just didn't like the guy. The fans were so damn loud, for good and for bad. And Cena had yet to utter a single word, but they were still booing and cheering. The new champion proclaimed himself the champ once again as the Montreal crowd continued booing. A limping Rated R superstar interrupted, and he received a positive reception. He called Cena's victory on Unforgiven a fluke, and Cena showed respect to the Rated R superstar before giving the former champion 2 options. Option A, option 1. Go screw himself, or 2, fight like a man. Edge, though, he wasn't feeling a title match in Canada. As a matter of fact, he believed Montreal isn't in Canada. It's the inbred brother of Canada's Montreal. They booed. The crowd turned on Edge, and at this point, there was nobody to cheer for. He continued insulting the crowd before promising to take back the title, but not tonight. John was annoyed over the fact that Edge was still whining about how he took punishment. Oh, I went through 2 tables, where? And he wanted to know, like, why in the hell is Edge out here if he's not fighting? Well, he wanted payback for that TLC match. He lost right in front of his mother sitting in the second row, and he lost the most important thing, his WWE Championship. Edge goaded Cena into a fight, and out came Caden Murdoch. They whooped his ass like a government mule, and this led to DX making the save. So it was once again your favorite match. It was a 6-man tag team match. You know it. Jonathan Coachman came out and booked the main event. The good guys got one over the heels and stood tall to end the night. Seriously though, I'm fed up with 6-man tag matches. The following week though, things went south for the WWE Champion. First of all, Cena was booked to face Lita in a match with one arm tied behind his back. Why was this match made? Well, Edge goaded Cena into it. Obviously, Lita lost due to Edge not being able to interfere, but that's not the point though. After the match, King Booker and his loyal subjects from SmackDown came out. They forced Cena to kiss the King's foot, and after the assaults, Edge had a big smile on his face. Since Cena was very vulnerable, and since he was going to appear on SmackDown later that week, this was the perfect time for Edge to invoke the rematch clause. So he did. Next week on Raw was going to be John Cena versus Edge in a steel cage match for the WWE Championship. There's a reason why they call him the ultimate opportunist. It's clear. I mean, this is why. As for Friday night, it was the first time Cena appeared on SmackDown since June of 2005. He teamed up with Batista and Bobby Lashley to face King Booker and his loyal subjects. Throughout the match, the heels isolated the injured left shoulder, but once he got to tag in Lashley, they ended up winning. Right after the match, though, Edge from out of nowhere speared the hell out of Cena. As for the title match on Raw, John Cena was at a complete disadvantage, but luck was on his side. Lita, who was helping Edge, got ejected. The ref then got knocked down. The chair that was brought in was Edge's wrongdoing, and it was time for the STFU. But Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch ran in there and kind of high-load Cena, kinda. They tried reviving Edge and pulled him to the outside, but DX crashed the party and the whole thing was flipped on its head. Shawn Michaels hit the sweet chin music on Murdoch, who bounced the door right into Edge's face and basically cost him the WWE Championship. So now the champ is off to new challengers. The number one contenders battle royal was booked with the winner challenging John Cena for the WWE Championship later that night. Rated RKO and DX featured in the match, I should note. Triple H during the match was perceived as such a huge threat that 4 men had to toss him out. Shawn Michaels cracked open that defense and almost had it figured out, but Edge just flipped him backwards to win the title shot. Now, even though he's already champion, Edge was opting to defend the WWE title against Umaga and also face DX later on at the pay-per-view. Now, we all know that 2006-07 John Cena was absolutely overpowered, and so Randy Orton had to run in and RKO him when the ref didn't notice. Next, they made a run in, and similar to the steel cage match, they cost Edge the title. Orton was angry. Edge was on a whole other level in terms of frustration, and was it just me, or did any of you guys want John Cena to join DX as a kid? So now that Cena steered past the Samoan bulldozer, it was time to focus on WrestleMania 23. Shawn Michaels, the next night on Raw, believed he was deserving of a title shot, and if The Undertaker chooses either the World Championship or the ECW title, as funny as that sounds, because there was no chance in hell that he was going to do that, John Cena's wide open. The champ decided to confront his potential opponent, and Cena echoed the match into the arena. He thought it was good, but the problem with this was the fact that The Undertaker was the Royal Rumble winner. Edge then interrupted, and he had something to say about this. He drew heat from the fans, who showed no love for him at all, and simply put, Edge wanted that WrestleMania title shot. He said that he beat Cena, in his words, more times than he could count, and HBK blew his shot last night. Randy Orton, Edge's tag team partner, came out. He asked Edge about the number of times he challenged Cena. Well, he, Orton, never even got a fair shot. Basically, Edge challenged Cena like 50 times, while he challenged John Cena 0 times. Makes sense. Cena had enough of the baby talk, and he wanted to fight. But the boss via satellite stopped Rated RKO from entering the ring, and he booked the duo in a tag team title match against Shawn Michaels and John Cena for the World Tag Team Championships. As for the match, it went on the babyface's side. They had to fight for it, though, and so they were champions. Following WrestleMania, the heat and tension between Randy Orton and Edge increased as the Rated R superstar stuck his nose in the Legend Killer's business. He nearly cost him that WWE title shot after spearing him, and they were both looking to become a champion. Luckily for both men, they would get that opportunity at Backlash as John Cena defended the title in a fatal 4-way match. In the build-up to the pay-per-view, though, Randy thought it was best for them to put their issues aside. Edge even called Orton the best partner he's ever had, and it was as though Rated RKO was back. Yeah, no. Their Rated RKO reunion was shut down before it even began. In light of that, Spirit match between the two was set for Raw the following week, but it turns out John Cena and HBK went at it for an hour. Now, I read up that this was because Randy Orton destroyed a hotel room. I believe it was in Germany that he destroyed a hotel room, and they decided to punish him by removing him from the Raw card that week. That fatal 4-way, though, it turned out to be, in my opinion, a top 3 in WWE history. The excitement was off the charts in Atlanta. Each man brought it and then some. Like, I lose count of the awesome moments and spots from this match. Like, there's just so many. It was really looking like HBK's night. Everything was going well from a one mistake cost him, and it's truly one of the best matches of 2007. About the match, poor Kofi Kingston never even got a chance to greet the competitors because Edge dropped him and stole a spot in the chamber. At this point, the chances of Cena winning drastically go down and the crowd was all in. Ray though wasn't too happy about this, and this was a great move. As unfortunate as it is for Kofi, Edge's inclusion made the match even more interesting. The match, it needed all the star power it could get and gave a feeling of damn, anything could happen. The trio of Edge, Jericho, and Mysterio really carried hard here. They made work of Mike Knox and Edge, leaving only the champ. And when he did come in, he was like, on behalf of Kofi Kingston, I bestow upon you this ass kicking. But Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, and Edge spoiled his plans and sent him out. New champion guaranteed, and to top it all off, it was either one of these three. It's a top 5 chamber moment because of how sudden it came, and I don't think anybody doubted Edge would win here after the elimination. One thing for certain though is that nobody expected Cena to go out like that. He rolled out of there in disbelief, and at this point, everyone wanted Rey to win it. He had the crowd on his side. Jericho, he sent him packing, but Edge was a bigger problem. He had this handled, and to the surprise of everybody, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. Great match. I loved how everything turned out. One small tweak turned this into an iconic chamber match. Overall, John Cena hell no, we're not done yet. This video's only just started. The next night on Raw, Edge came out as the new champion. He called himself remarkable, resplendent, and even really smart. This is all about describing what the R in rated R stood for. The fans started chanting, "You suck," and Edge explained his mindset after losing the WWE Championship. He said that failure wasn't an option for him. He started calling the fans wrong for calling him a loser the previous night and proclaimed himself as a walking miracle for competing in 2 chamber matches. He said that Jesus turned water into wine, and he turned the WWE Championship into the World Heavyweight Championship. Despite the controversy surrounding Kofi Kingston's spot in the Elimination Chamber, Vicky Guerrero confirmed that Edge was champion. They start kissing, and never before were the fans happier to see the former champion, John Cena. Bro wasn't even mad because he knew that title was coming back. Look at him. Cena congratulated Edge and said that others would have been complaining about it, but he didn't. Cena went on to say that rated R stands for rematch, and Edge started looking on like he didn't know the definition of that word. The champion uses 2 chamber matches as an excuse to not compete tonight, and even went as far as to say I might not even compete for a month. He said that if he wants to see them, he should see them on SmackDown. For Cena, it was all about preparation. He wanted Edge at 100%, so he could go rest, do stuff with Vicky, stuff that certainly disgusted him, and revealed that he has a rematch. Edge made mention of their history in the Money in the Bank cash-in, and at this point, it felt like 10 years early. When they talk about this stuff, it feels like, damn, that was long ago. He's like, oh, what about when I visited your father's house? Talked about how they could mention rematches, but it doesn't change the fact that the champ is here. Cena grabbed him and told him that if he tries to hide, he'll find him. Regardless, they're gonna fight. Edge looked on and worried over this change of attitude from the former champion, and Cena the following week straight up told Vicky that he's cashing in his title shot tonight. Edge interrupted with the Big Show and put a stop to all this rematch talk. He compared Cena to Randy Orton at the time, who was threatening others to get what he wanted. John Cena told him, hey, be a champion and stop bringing out some excuses. He said that he doesn't have to answer to him. He told him that he can't be like Bruno, Hogan, or Austin because he's in the same era as him. He's like, oh, you can't be as good as those two because you're in my era. While he exists, Cena could never be the guy that the fans will want him to be. During this time of turmoil, he's the beacon of light, but for his sake, he should hold off the title match because when it happens and he loses, the fans will be left with nothing. Cena trashed him for standing next to a 400-pound beast, and of course, the Big Show. So basically, he's obviously referring to Vicky as that, and Cena said that he's one match away from being a future champion. All he wanted was a match. Big Show told him to show some respect to the G-Man, and this confused Cena. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, you're the one that takes care of Vicky, even in bed. And Edge was pressed. Cena thought he was getting the match, but it turned out to be something else, as later that night, Vicky revealed that John Cena's not getting his title match. He of course expected this a bit and told her that he's losing his patience. He promised to appear on SmackDown. Vicky hyped up this family element like Edge was coming out, but it was Chavo Guerrero. Cena beat him in under a minute, and her reveal took longer than the match. As expected, he appeared on SmackDown, and at this point, it was very often, which I thought was cool at the time. I was like, damn, John Cena's on SmackDown? That's nice. He said that he was on SmackDown because a coward was champion. Once again, he demanded the title shot for tonight and refused to leave until he got an answer. Cena chants intensify, and there's Edge. At this point, he had enough and accepted the challenge. This is when Vicky announced the match wasn't happening, and he had a sense that this was going to happen. Instead of a title match, he got a match with the Big Show. That match barely went Cena's way, and just as he's about to wrap it up with the FU, Edge interfered, and it led to Big Show scoring the W, and unfortunately for him, this basically meant he put his name in the hat for a world title match. But Edge had to worry about John Cena because the title match was on for Raw. The sentiment was Edge felt that the title defense was an easy one after Cena got KO'd by the Big Show. He claimed that Cena had the advantage because they're close to his hometown, but it was clear what was up. he clearly had the advantage because of the incident that had occurred on SmackDown. As expected, the match was intense, dramatic, and it's what you expect out of a John Cena and Edge match. For Edge, though, it was a live to fight for another day thing because he got himself disqualified when he was caught in FU position. Right afterwards, though, he stared at his next challenger, which was unbeknownst to him until Vicky revealed it. And when he did notice, he realized that it was finished. Cena looked on in disappointment as well. It got to the point where Edge was feeling something was up with his wife in the Big Show, and he was also upset at being informed of his opponent at the same time as the fans. Big Show tried to shut this down and even went as far as to say that Vicky thinks he would be a better champion. Edge was offended. He didn't want Big Show to use the dominant card against him as he's an 8-time champion. He said that he's more talented, faster, smarter than him, and then he saw things differently. He's like, oh, I know why Vicky chose you. It's because she wanted me to have an easy challenge. Edge even claimed that he's more of a man than Big Show will ever be, and just as he's about to sign, John Cena interrupts. He wasn't interested in talking and attacked both men, and he then told Vicky something and walked away. Edge was prepared for the match. He wanted to sign, but Vicky delayed the contract signing until Raw. So it was clear that what Cena told her affected her in a big way. As expected, he crashed the contract signing. Edge told him to fuck off. He's not in this match, but then he asked Vicky, "You didn't tell him?" And then he revealed what's up. The champion wanted to double team him, but Vicky revealed that she invited Cena out here. Why? Because Cena's in the match, and the heels complained. Even then, he was forcing her to reveal the truth. And what was the truth? He loves Vicky. The fans were confused. Edge had that Booker T look, and he was talking about what the heart wants, and Edge started saying that he's playing with her feelings and that she's going to rip the contract. It was still unclear what was actually going on, and Cena thought, screw it. He admitted he doesn't like her. He mentioned that he hates the mere thought of her. Whatever. And then he mentioned that when he came to SmackDown, he came because he knew the security guy. And he showed a clip of Big Show sliding into her room with Edge in the shower. And this is the most Big Show storyline ever. The worst part was when she told him, "I hope you win at WrestleMania," and smacked his ass. Also, this image is meme quality, but I don't know why they were doing this, especially for a WrestleMania build, but whatever. Edge's true enemy was right beside him, and Cena finessed her by getting himself a title shot and screwing her over. Edge started to get into his wife's head and got her against Big Show, who reminded her that she was the one that pursued him first. So at this point, she was at a crossroads, either the Big Show or Edge. As for John Cena, he went one-on-one with the Rated R Superstar, and Vicky was the special referee. Big Show ended up interfering, and despite their issues, they worked to isolate Cena. From out of nowhere, though, Edge decked him and ended Raw on top. This drama was overshadowing John Cena, who was using it to his advantage. However, he said that when he wins, he doesn't want anything to do with Vicky Guerrero's heart. This was all in light of the truce between those two on SmackDown. He couldn't believe that the 500th episode of SmackDown was ending like this. Cena couldn't come to terms on how Edge just let this whole incident go and be cool with the Big Show. He thought it was odd, and he thought it was funny that Big Show was laughing when he's the same guy who helped Edge and got speared earlier that week. But the worst of them all, in his eyes, is how WrestleMania 25 is about who shares Vicky's infection. Yeah, he literally said that. Oh, man. Edge was sharing too much information here, and Big Show was as well. And those two were getting into it in the ring. Push comes to shove. They're fighting, and Edge accidentally spears his wife. They're fighting over her like she's a stack of cash, and Edge chop blocked him, sending her flying. So Big Show chokeslammed him and carried her to the back. With Cena away in LA promoting 12 rounds, he read a poem about Vicky via satellite. As for Edge and Big Show, their drama was too damn intense. At this point, John Cena sold the importance of WrestleMania and how these three have tried to prevent him from participating. It got to the point where he had to resort to blackmailing. Why? Because he wanted to be a part of WrestleMania. Edge and Big Show's Jerry Springer last took the title hostage, and he was hell-bent on taking it back. Big Show wasn't too fond of Cena belittling his love with Vicky, and even said that love makes him stronger. Big Show challenged him to a match, and Cena was up for a fight. Before he could leave, though, Cena threw him like trash. On the final Raw before WrestleMania, John Cena once again faced the Big Show. Before the match, though, Edge came in with some advice. He hyped up the Big Show and told him that they have to team up in order to take him out. Otherwise, it's his match. He's going to win the title. Cena agreed, but still wanted to do things his way. In a surprise turn of events, Cena lost clean to the Big Show and took a beating from Edge afterwards. So that's the build. John Cena's pursuit of Raw's most coveted gold brought him to become entangled in a love triangle he wanted absolutely no part of. Yeah, you guys can have all your drama over there. I just want the title. Edge and Big Show want more than just the title. With Vicky comes love and, of course, power, and having the title is essentially a bonus. Of course, it was eventually revealed that Edge married her for that very same reason, but here, he made it seem like there was more to the relationship. Now, of course, this match in some ways is memorable, and unfortunately had to follow up HBK and The Undertaker, but it was solid and maybe even good. A million John Cena's came out as a future champ, embraced his inner Slim Shady, and after a build like that, and most importantly, an entrance like this, the chances of Cena losing were about as likely as Triple H hitting a moonsault that night. The inclusion of Big Show felt a bit odd because Cena and Edge is the ultimate WrestleMania match and would have looked great alongside Triple H and Orton, but it came down to Cena looking out for Big Show. He was very appreciative on WWE photo shoot and thought it was cool that John Cena was like, hey, we should bring you into this match too. It's a bit unfortunate that it never happened, but it's cool that it did in some capacity because some other feuds never get to that stage. Cena during the match was absolutely strong. His brute strength was on display for the world to watch, and for a little moment there, he had both Edge and the Big Show on his back. He was carrying like 600 or 700 pounds, and he dropped both of them with the FU. Won the title. Bro marched in there, had a special entrance, went through the drama and came out of it with the title. But overall, the match wasn't bad. It just had to follow up one of the greatest matches of all time. So that's Cena's second World Heavyweight Championship. The next night on Raw, he participated in a 10-man tag team match in a winning effort, and damn was this a super team. Jeff Hardy, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, John Cena, and Ricky Steamboat. Damn! He had all of 2008's favorites in there. The champ's next challenger, though, was right beside him. On the April 10th, 2009 episode of SmackDown, Edge hosted The Cutting Edge. And to say this promo is amazing and memorable would be an understatement. It's literally the perfect description of this feud. Edge had a sense of bitterness on his face. He couldn't come to terms with the title not being on his shoulder. It was depressing to him, and he said it himself. He said that he hadn't slept in a week. Then he brought out his guest. Cena somewhat gloated about being the champ, and Edge explained why he brought him out. It was because that title is his life. He could struggle as long as he has that. Then he said that Cena stole the title from him, and he looked confused like he wanted to slap him straight, but Edge told him to sit down. The champ found this ridiculous and told Edge to get over himself. He said that you lost at WrestleMania. Then he shouted that Cena ruined his life, and he started talking about their past and how they went through hell. Cena felt this was an opportunity to talk about the rivalry, but he chose to whine about how he ruined his life, and to him, it was just a waste of time. And this is when Edge shouted, "I hate you." He went on to explicitly explain why he hated John Cena. He hated everything about him. The wristbands, the shirt, the C Nation, and this feud exhausted him. He had enough. It took a lot from their careers, and Backlash was when it was going to end. At the end of that match, he's going to be the one left standing. Cena grabbed that mic and shouted no. Sure, Edge may be a better wrestler. Sure, he may be smarter than him, but Cena believed that he was desperate, and he was. He was desperate. He was showing it. His eyes, his face, everything screamed desperation, yet he's competing in a last man standing match. Cena straight up told him that he's tougher than him. That's why he's going to be the last man standing, and that's why Edge hates him. He said that it wasn't the hat, the shirt, the wristbands, it's the truth. Every time he struck, John Cena, got back up, and if he wants to end it, he should do it right now and hit him. Cena was craving a fight, but Edge was wise. His contempt and hatred for Cena was not enough to fight him on this night, and he truly looked like a lost person. That title gave him direction and meaning, and now he was nothing, and he knew it. I love this promo. It showed how deep this feud had gone, because usually Cena was the one chasing Edge who would be doing some dastardly stuff. Now he was the one chasing after him, and he lost his confidence. It was different and gave the feud more depth. It was more interesting. After making a joke out of Jack Swagger and his All-American catchphrase, Edge went on the attack. The attack, though, was thwarted, and Cena was on the verge of dropping him with the FU. Edge, though, rebounded the following week by attacking Cena and sending him a message ahead of Backlash. Jericho and Cena, though, had a good match here, which is expected because at the end of the day, it's Chris Jericho and John Cena. They did not have to hit it as hard as they did, but they did it for the crowd in London. Edge, though, interfered and had to ruin a good match. He even hit the concerto and started counting to 10, giving everyone a preview of what's to come at Backlash. On the final SmackDown before Backlash, Edge gave his final thoughts on the Last Man Standing match. He agreed with almost everything John Cena said about him. He said that he's grasping at straws. He's lost his mind, and the match is going to be the unstoppable force against the irresistible object. He went on to talk about their feud and how Cena always rebounded. That all changed, though, on Raw. He said that what happened here will happen at Backlash. Edge praised Cena's resolve and said that he almost respects him, but he despises him with every fiber of his being. He said that he has nothing left, and losing on Sunday, that's it. Basically, he's desperate. Sunday, they lay it all out for the last time. It was far too chaotic and damaging to their careers. It has to come to an end. Edge said that in the end, he will be the last man standing. Great promo. What makes this so good is that Edge wasn't the regular heel anymore. His pride was damaged beyond repair. Well, almost, because the one thing that could fix his problem, remove his woes, and set him free is that very title on John Cena's shoulder. The build was extremely strong and showed a different side to the feud, because for the past few years, barring that 1 month in the summer of 2008, Edge was always confident and trashing the fans, talking about how good he was. Now, he was still saying that he was good, but you felt there was doubt. All because of John Cena, the one man he couldn't truly keep down for long. In some ways, this match at Backlash could be considered their very best. It had that storybook ending vibe to it, and it felt like this was going to be the final time that they actually face off. And if they were to face off later on, which they did, it wouldn't be as heated as it was here. Edge's big match experience was helping him here. Cena struggling to match and was finding himself trying to get up at the count of 7. As always, you can never truly write out John Cena. Both men displayed resiliency during the toughest periods. They were pulling out all the stops. Cena was hitting the FU from the top. Edge was hitting a midair spear. There was an FU into the crowd. They were well in it. Hell, they even brawled in the crowd. With that tenacity John Cena was known for started to frustrate Edge. Cena recovered from a dastardly chair shot and almost hit the FU, but then the Big Show came in from out of nowhere and threw him into a spotlight. Edge was more than accepting of this gift from the Big Show, and he was now the new World Heavyweight Champion. A man almost died, and Edge was worried about his reflection on the title. I thought this match was excellent. These two could do no wrong together, and after countless matches over the years, they perfected their chemistry, so it's expected to be good. Could I have done without interference? Of course, but that spot was cool in itself. For Edge, he was off to SmackDown, and Cena, he was involved in 2 feuds he didn't ask for. Felt like the end of the feud, and they went all out. It was good. So yeah. Alright, what you guys think of John Cena's run? Please comment down below, and that's it for this video. Make sure you hit the STFU on the like button, or perhaps the FU on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.